Today we are playing a wacky Izzet Robots deck list built around some of the new cards in Emissary Escort, Pinnacle Emissary, and we're also playing Mechanozoa. So that should be interesting. But one of the cards that I really wanted to build around and try and make use of here is Emissary Escort. It's a 2-mana 0/4 where it gets plus X plus O, where X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts you control. And there's a lot of ways to kind of take advantage of this or cheat on this ability, because we can play Leyline Axe, which if it's in our opening hand, it will just start on the battlefield. So this can just be a 2-mana 4/4, which seems pretty strong. We also have affinity for artifacts. So this can be a 2-mana 5/4 if we get the Memory Guardian down. And then we can also warp in this artifact creature here, and then it will be a 6/4 for 2 mana. Furthermore, if we have Leyline Axe down, we could maybe equip the Leyline Axe at instant speed, like Embercleave here, and give our Emissary Escort double strike, which would be pretty crazy, because that means as soon as turn 3, we could be swinging in for 10 damage with this Escort, because it'll be a 5/5 double striker. And then since we're going to be warping things in, and we're playing a bunch of these artifact creatures, Dowsing Device is really good with these warp artifact creatures, because it says whenever another artifact enters, or when this artifact enters, you get to give target creature you control +1/+0 and haste until end of turn. So for 3 mana, we can warp this Mechanozoa in and haste it in as a 6/5, which is pretty crazy. Besides that, also could start with Leyline Axe on the battlefield and use Zoetic Glyph. And then another really good kind of Izzet artifact card here from the new set is Pinnacle Emissary. We can warp it in for 1 mana. Again, we can give it haste. Whenever we cast an artifact spell, we get to make a 1/1 drone artifact that can't block, or can only block creatures with flying. But these are more artifacts that will trigger the Dowsing Device, and they can haste in. And then when this flips over to the land, we can go ahead and pump those flying drones, because usually the opponent doesn't have flying blockers, and so those will swing in for a bunch of damage since we're going to have a bunch of artifacts. Besides that, we also have Synthesizer Labship, which if we get to 2 station counters or charge counters on it, it can give a artifact, return an artifact into a 2/2 with flying. So if we give this, or change its base power and toughness to 2/2, it will get even bigger, and it will also have evasion, so we can connect with it, which is quite nice. And then, of course, we have Gingerbrute to glyph it and then give it unblockable. That is the deck. Let's see how we can do on the rank ladder. Alright, this hand, not the best, but we can play Labship Cryogen Relic to discount this by 2 mana. I'm tempted to just give it a go. We have red and blue mana thanks to Starting Town. Cryogen Relic can also help us draw into more lands. I think we're playing 23 lands, because we are pretty much a aggro deck trying to cheese our way through. Stolen Uniform is not very helpful. Timeline Color. Cast that again. We're close to getting down these Guardians for 2 mana each, which is quite nice. Spirebluff Canal, super good here because we can run out this. And the Memory Guardian. We'll go ahead and station the Labship here. We can activate our Relic and swing in for 3. I don't think we interact much with our opponent here. We just try and race. Got another Memory Guardian, which should be a decent blocker, potentially. The Glyph off the top would be pretty good. We could, like, activate or turn something into a creature here and swing in for a bunch. Alright, well, I can warp in the Mechanozoa or Mechanozoa and then play the Memory Guardian. I can also station with the... You know what, we're going for damage here. This might not be the wisest idea because now they can kill it, but get the opponent down to 6. Next turn, maybe, just maybe, we can get there. Have a removal spell. Gonna be much harder. No, GG. Alright, well, this hand is probably not it. This deck is definitely a little cheesy. Sometimes you're going to have hands where just like you have Stolen Uniform, it's completely useless, or you top deck into a Leyline when you don't really need the Leyline Axe. So definitely can have some awkward hands here. Forgot one other thing to mention. You can Zoetic Glyph the Emissary Escort, I believe is the name of the card, the 2-drop that I was talking about at the beginning. It gives the +X+O for their greatest mana value among other artifacts with Zoetic Glyph. You can target it with Zoetic Glyph, and that +X will go on top of the 5 power that Zoetic Glyph gives it. So you can get absolutely massive creature. I managed to put a Leyline Axe and Zoetic Glyph onto the Emissary Escort, and it was a double striking 10-10. I managed to get through a massive green Hydra, which was pretty cool. Opponent timing out. Okay, the opponent seems to be back. I guess we will keep this. Do we want the Labship? Or do we... We keep the Glyph or the Guardian? Does the Glyph do anything major for us here? We can make our Escort into a massive flyer, so we can lab ship it up. We can lab ship and station it with the warp here if we really want. Oh, this is not good. Red artifact damage. Whenever I see red and I have pain lands in hand, it's concerning. Looks like a Delirium aggro deck. We can avoid a little bit of damage here. I don't think we care about stationing the lab ship because we're gonna have to do it again to get it to 2 counters. So the 1 counter is pretty inconsequential, whereas we might be able to block here. So the opponent could have the 1 mana combat trick with Delirium on it. I could give the Wicker Folk enough damage to kill the Escort. I think I'm just gonna not block. The opponent could also have other combat tricks. If we weren't going to block, maybe I should have just went ahead and did something about the crewing or stationing. Alright, can we race our opponent here? This sounds a little insane. Probably is a little insane. This is probably a bad idea because it can get lightning shocked. But there's one of the synergies with our Escort. Turn it into a flyer with the lab ship and pump it. Fly trap, it would get very big. Okay. We might be blocking with these, well, I can crew or station that because I can't block anything but flyers. give this escort flying. We can glyph the drone here. We just need to not die here. This doesn't have trample unless they have delirium. We'll go block the 3/2 so we don't go down to 1. We have at least one escort, or sorry, Pinnacle Emissary, which is enough to turn on our escort. And then we can Zoetic Glyph one of these. Are we just dead? No. Oh. Opponent had double combat trick and perfect 0. The starting town killed us. Our Dowsing Device with Mechanozoa is... Mechanozoa? Darn it. I don't know how to... It's supposed to be called, but... Infestation Sage. Our opponent is on... a Orzhov sacrifice deck, it looks like. Dowsing Device, so then we can warp this in, which should be fun. Problem is the opponent should probably have plenty of blockers here, realistically speaking. So even if we tap one down, put a stun counter on it, they're gonna have another blocker. Okay, it's just a growing creature. Got it. I mean, could hold on to the Mechanozoa for a moment. Warp this in, play this. Oh no, it's gonna flip before I get my memory guardian into haste. Station this, I guess. Make that into a 3/2. Oh, we ramped. And we now have a flipped Geode Grotto, but honestly it's better when it doesn't flip. Because then we can hasten this like massive jellyfish. Robot jellyfish. We'll have 5 mana next turn. I think we're just kind of toast. Yeah, we are just dead. It's over. Okay, this is one of the really fun hands. We got Leyline Axe, which we can Zoetic Glyph, or we could like Stolen Uniform it onto something. Stuck on 2 lands with 3 drops in hand is not as good though. So we are on the draw. Warp this in for no reason. Nah, I'm good. If we can make one of these flying drones, we can lift them. Warp in the mech. Alright. We're about to flip the Dowsing Device. If we Emissary plus Gingerbrute, we could glyph the Leyline Axe, but I prefer to try and keep it as an equipment because we have the Stolen Uniform. This will haste itself in with the Dowsing Device, and then we can play this, which should make a token, which can haste itself in thanks to the Dowsing Device, and then we'll haste in Gingerbrute because, well, it has haste. We will swing Do I Stolen Uniform now for double striking 10 or a double striking 5 on this emissary? Probably not. The opponents might use removal. And we're gonna have to re-equip anyways. Yeah, the opponent would have killed it anyways. Fine. Make this flyer into a 5/5 is fun. Emissary we don't get back, but hey, we warped it for 1 mana. Got a little bit of value out of it. Opponent has a lot of removal though at their disposal. Might just relic here and try and draw a card. Because we can glyph the relic, and if they remove it, we draw a card and we do the discover 3. Sounds kind of nice. Because we're in grind mode since our opponent's on Dimir midrange. And they're holding up tons of mana. Opponent didn't want to get rid of the 1/1s. Shock in a Godless Shrine and pass. Interesting. Alright, I will glyph the relic. If they bounce or kill the relic, we get a ton of value. If not, we can Stolen Uniform it for lethal. Opponent's going to remove it, right? Now we could try and force removal out of their hand, or we could take the 7 damage. Yeah. Kind of expected, but we now have maps that we can Zoetic Glyph, and we get to cast the Pinnacle Emissary for free. Not bad, not bad. So we can glyph one of these apps, but we could also Geode Grotto the flyer for +6/+0 and give it double strike. That would potentially be lethal. By Mechanozoa doesn't really do anything. Yeah, I think I'm gonna glyph a map token. Glyph the flyer. They have so much removal though. I just can't handle it. Let's attack in with the 5/4, and I can make the Gingerbrute unblockable if I wanted. Is that worth it? I mean, we're not going to use our mana for anything else, so we can do that. If opponent goes to block the 5/4, we could give it a Leyline Axe just to completely mop their board, but they'll remove it in response. I don't think it's worth it still. Dowsing Device, we will take that. That's another land, and we get a token out of it, which is actually quite huge. Because that means we can play the Emissary Escort, which gets us another token, but the opponent probably has the Sweeper, which means we're going to have to glyph and then Stolen Uniform, the Leyline Axe maybe, win. The opponent has the new Mill Sweeper. The opponent's a degen Jace player that spams emotes. Yep, there you go, mill half the library, but we are so close to winning. We're 1 off from lethal. We are 1 off from lethal. That is so cursed. We can do this. Give it the Leyline Axe. And that's all she wrote. Down to 1. And the opponent probably has the combo piece, which just doubles up the number of cards in her graveyard. No, they don't. Right? Warp in an Emissary. And then give it haste with the Geode Grotto. Counterspell. I mean, swing in. Can't warp this in and haste it because we're 1 land short. Over 3, new Pinnacle Emissary. Take that, and we'll play this is big creature. Make a 1/1. Maybe I should have warped it just to get the 1/1 and leave it at that. Do you have the combo piece, opponent? That can search for it, but they need a total of 6 mana to play it and activate it. It's the exhaust card from Aether Drift. That mills cards. I forget what it's called. But I think we have enough lethal threats. GG, we made it. Alright. This hand looks pretty decent. Double Escort. The Zoetic Glyph means we can make an absolutely massive escort here. Fortunately, pain lands are gonna hurt. We can warp the Emissary, play the escort. Will give us a token, a flying token that we can glyph, and it also makes our escort a 3/4. So aggro deck, go burr. These starting towns are pretty awful for us though. Our escorts are only 2/4s at the moment. Could Mechanozoa swing in? Is that lethal? This gives them both 2 6s. No, it's not lethal, but it is really freaking funny. Could also play the Pinnacle Emissary, play it a little bit slower. Opponent, do we think the opponent's gonna have a sweeper? I don't think so. I think we can just develop our board. We don't have lethal this turn anyways, so might as well force the opponent down on life, and then we can warp this in to tap down whatever blocker they have and make our escorts into 6/4s. Nowhere to run can get rid of the Emissary, but that leaves 1 blocker and 1 removal. So probably not lethal yet, but could play Labship, Relic, but I have 2 Mechanozoas. I have a Glyph. Would be better to Glyph? Swing in? Probably not. Opponent has removal, but if they have a removal, it's probably better to play the Glyph because we get something if they go for the removal spell, but the problem is the escorts can't swing in then. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of thinking. I'm not entirely sure how we fight our way through this. There's a removal check for our opponent, but they are playing Golgari mid-range, so shocker, they have the removal. And we now have a 1/1 flyer that if they've run out of removal spells, nowhere to run, shoot the sheriff, duress. What do they duress? Wait, no, they just milled the duress with the mortuary, I think. If only we had trample. Force the removal, but if they remove this in response, we really did just nothing on our turn, which is really bad. Can make it into a 2/2 flyer if I relic Labship, station the Labship, make the token into a 2/2. It also draws us a card. I think that might be better just because if we can find like a land drop. The longer the game goes, the worse it becomes for us, unfortunately. But we will be able to crew this, make the relic into a flyer with the Labship next turn, which is like another flying threat, which the opponent might have trouble with. Demon? Is it demon time? Okay. We can tap that down and we just win with the Zoa. The Zoa. This warp card is actually so good in this deck. It makes our Emissary Escort massive. And we can actually give our Escort flying. And GG. Alright. Hand looks okay. We have our colors in red and blue, and we have the Escort. The art for this card I love. It's just, it looks cool. It's a cool robot. We Dowsing Device first, or we Escort first? We Dowsing Device, we can like warp the Emissary. Do we have any removal? No. Alright, what is the best curve out here? Dowsing Device or Escort? So we Dowsing Device, we can warp this and then play the Escort as well. Will that flip the Dowsing Device before the Escort comes down? Maybe, but we get a flyer which we can Zoetic Glyph. Sorry, I'm trying to think ahead here. Because if it's green, we're racing, and it's not an easy race. Oh my goodness, I want to play this card as well. This is a cool card. Turns things into 3/3s. When you have a land enter, if you have more lands, turn them into 6/6s, which is pretty cool. But this does mean the opponent has a flyer, which is less good for us, but fine. It's fine. That feels like unbelievably busted. This is the secret warp tech, I swear. Dowsing Device. Always been a good card, but there's just nothing been great to play with it. Also a pretty decent commander card if you want to ramp in red, land ramp in red. 3/3 elves. They could make their Llanowar elves into a 3/3 as well. Fortunately, Geo Grotto means that we will not be able to Mechanozoa exactly how we would like to, but do we just Emissary and try and grind a little bit, or do we try and cheese in for a bunch of damage? I think we play this first. This will increase our artifact count. It will make our Escort into something that they need to block. They could double block it, but then they lose their Xenomorph Mago. They can sack the Fabled Passage, turn something into a 3/3, and then double block, but that would put them down a bunch of mana. They're going to have access to 7 mana. Is it? No, 6 mana. in their turn here. Our escort is now no longer just incredibly small, which is nice. Bumble herd heirloom. Break Blast. Okay, interesting. Wonder if they're playing the Melt Strider's Resolve card. Mockingbird to make a copy of it. Fair enough. I don't want to glyph the flyer. Then if we can get a land drop next turn, we can double Mechanozoa to cheese our way through, maybe. Glyph the flyer, play the escort. Seems like a decent strategy. And then our escorts will both be super massive. When we're playing such like a fragile aggro deck, I feel like we have to be very careful about the plays we choose. Because any blowout means we just pretty much lose on the spot. Which is unfortunate, but... Land drop and these Mechanozoas go crazy. What else could be a good draw? We could play... If we drew another Dowsing Device, it wouldn't be terrible. So that would give us a way to haste in the Mechanozoa as like another kind of lethal body. Wow. Okay. A lot of... They really have that many birds? Alright, well we have double land drop. Or we have another land drop so we can make Mechanozoas happen if we want. If we drew a land here, we would have maybe won. Gotta tap down both of the Gearhulks, I think. Gearhulk tap. And we can keep him tapped down for kind of a long while here. And yeah, they only have 2 blockers. We have plenty of attackers, I think, so GG. Oh my goodness. Emissary Escort, Leyline Axe. Now we just need the stolen uniform. And we will have completed the dream, like, hammer time type hand. Where you just blast your opponent. Red. Lock. Okay. I see you. I raise you a Dowsing Device? Or is it better to escort here? I think it's better to the Dowsing Device because we can also then eventually start hasting in these Mechanozoa, or haste in a Mechanozoa before this flips. We can also tap down one of our opponents playing, which is quite strong. We could also just like warp, do 6, warp, do 6, and then haste in this bad boy. And that would keep whatever like Voltron creature they're trying to go for tapped down, which actually sounds somewhat attractive here. I think we want to tap down this Manifold Mouse before it one-shots us. And you'll stay tapped for at least a turn so we can try and maybe cheese our way through. Stolen uniform off the top. Does that win us? No. This card! I swear the jellyfish is good. It's not cheese at all. No, don't upgrade the Dowsing Device. How could you? Does the opponent actually have a braid? Sheltered by Ghost. Okay, that is incredibly incredibly bad for us. Because that removes our entire plan here. Well, double 4/4. We will just have to one-shot the opponent harder than they're going to one-shot us. If we get a land drop, we can stun the mouse and swing in for 12. But if they have another Sheltered by Ghost, they could take the Leyline Axe. And it's so done. Imagine if we had that Dowsing Device, how much damage we would have just done. Opponent has the ethereal armor. Are we just dead? Are we just dead? That's 12 lifelinking. Pump spell. The Sheltered by Ghost kill us. It's only like +2, so I don't think so. We would take 16. I mean, it has Trample, Double Strike, Lifelink, Ward 2, Menace, and First Strike, just for good measure. It was so close. Tap your blocker. And well, we didn't get there, but we maybe scared our opponent a little bit. We just did 20 damage in one turn. Oh my goodness. We had a really good run of games. But the opponent found the Sheltered by Ghost and reminded me why I hated that card. These mice, these mice, these mice. Alright, that is going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know what you want to see next from Edge of Eternities. Consider checking out the other videos on the channel. Subscribe to not miss out on future Edge of Eternities videos. And in regards to this deck, I think we went 6-4 with the deck, which is like a 60% win rate. I think it's incredibly cheese. Is it potentially good? Maybe, but I don't know if I could like wholly recommend it. But if you enjoy the style of deck, if you're like an Insult Artifact enjoyer, I think this is a hilarious deck that is pretty fun to play with like the different lines you can go for with the Stolen Uniform Leyline Axe, the Labship giving your Escort flying, and the warp of the Mechanozoa was pretty silly. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice morning, evening, night, afternoon, wherever and whenever you're watching. Take care of yourself. Ciao.